have been playing Soulframe and I am really enjoying the game, but I have noticed that there is a lack of tutorial, so I find myself quite lost most of the time as there is so little information in game to direct you in the right direction or to tell you where to go and what to do and how to do things. While this is still a pre-alpha, so there is a lot that could change, and that might be why there's a lack of tutorial and onboarding in this game. You either have to stumble upon things and discover them yourself by exploring, or you have to go out of the game, for example to the Soulframe wiki, to find out information. So there is a lot that the game does not tell you, and I've gathered a few tips that I wish I knew before I started playing Soulframe. First, you'll notice when you start your game that when you open your map, the map will look all covered in clouds. So to unlock the map and have more visibility in points of interest, you actually have to find big old trees. They are whitish and they'll have a weapon stuck in them. There's quite a few across the map, and by interacting with one of these trees, you will unlock a little bit of the map. While the game does not have much of a tutorial at all, and it doesn't really handhold you, if you press G, you'll be able to follow your birdie to where your quest next leads you. So if you ever feel lost and you don't know where to go, just press G and your birdie should tell you exactly where to go. If it's just flying around you in the same spot, then you probably just have to look around, as you're probably already on the correct spot. As you explore the world and dungeons, make sure that you are destroying everything and anything that you come across. All the boxes that you see scattered around are probably destroyable, so just go ahead and either use your attack and abilities to destroy them, or you can also roll into them to destroy them. This will give you mostly money, but also some materials that you are going to need to craft weapons and armor. Also, I almost forgot, like I always forget to look for this. There is some weapon racks lying across the world, not just in dungeons, but out in the open world as well. You cannot destroy these. You have to go to them and interact with them to collect the materials, which are very important for weapon crafting. Be sure to interact with these. They are very, very easy to miss. I am sure I have passed by so many of these without interacting with them. So be sure to keep an eye on these, because they do give you very important materials that you will need to craft weapons. This one might be quite hard to get or find out unless you are really paying attention or you are way smarter than me, which is not hard. If you have noticed, when you get into some places or when you open your map, names of areas are usually in a language that you can't quite read, but there is a way to translate these, and that is by collecting some, I believe they're called motes, but not 100% sure on that. And these are usually scattered around the area, so each area has a certain number of motes that you need to collect. Once you collect them all for that area you are in, you should be able to get the translation for all the places in that specific area. When you collect a mote, you'll be able also to see at the top of your screen how many more motes you need to collect in that specific area to be able to translate the names. Now, this is another one that I'm almost certain the game doesn't tell you, but it's quite important, and it's basically called SMITE pull, which can be used for several things, and that's by pressing Q, which is very useful to see around you if there's any gather balls or things that can be destroyed, or even for puzzles. If you press Q, you should be able to see those things of interest shining. And when you are out in the world and you do see animals running around, you can actually press Q and left click to grab them, and then there'll be a mini puzzle where you have to press the right key at the right moment. Once you complete the mini puzzle, you'll be able to collect that animal, which is an enchantment that you'll be able to use for your weapons to make them stronger or give them a special perk. You can also use the Q left click, the smite pull, when enemies are glowing to inflict extra damage. So if you're ever fighting an enemy and you're wondering why they are kind of glowing, and the color of the glow might be different depending on the situation, and it's usually one of three which are relatable to the attunements, which are spirit, grace, and courage. But when you do see an enemy glow, you can use Q left click, otherwise known as smite pull, to inflict extra damage. And you might notice at some point when you're fighting some enemies, and I won't spoil which ones, but when you kill those enemies, they might come back, and the only way to make sure they don't come back after you kill them is to take them down fully, and once they seem to be dead, you can press Q and you'll see their soul floating around their body, and you can use smite pull as well to ensure they won't come back anymore. Another one that I didn't find out until after a few hours of playing, and I felt pretty dumb because of this, although I'm again almost certain the game doesn't tell you, but when you press dodge, your character actually doesn't properly roll dodge, it just kind of steps to the side, but if you double click dodge, it'll actually roll dodge. Also, you might have noticed that you have a primary weapon and a secondary weapon. You can switch between these using R key. Although I always forget that I have a secondary weapon and I have barely used it. Lastly, and this one might help with your exploration out there as well, if you want to keep your compass on top of your screen always on because you might be always getting lost, like me, you can go into your settings, accessibility, and there's a setting you can enable to keep the compass always on. That's just a few tips that I thought it would help you at the start of your journey with Soulframe, because I am still feeling quite lost with the game, and knowing these ones from the very start, it definitely would have made my experience with the game at the beginning much smoother. Is there any other tips for newcomers that you think are important and I might have missed? Let me know down in the comments. And if any of these tips helped you at all and you want to see more videos like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.